Hello again. My name's Mangum. Again, I'm with a company called Memory Technology Institute. If you're like me, throughout my life and going to church, one of the things I enjoyed doing more than anything else was teaching. My wife and I taught the college-age freshmen one time. I taught the 10th grade. She taught the 10th grade. I actually taught her age group. She's about 8 or 9 years younger than I am, so I taught her age group for a long time. But one of the things that I needed, that I had to have before I could be a really effective teacher in Sunday school, was a way to remember information. Well, I went to this workshop that I'm telling you about 19 years ago, and I had the worst memory in the world. I used to be a slave to my daytimer. I'd fly from Anchorage, Alaska, back to Dallas, Texas, leave my daytimer on the plane in Seattle, and if my assistant wasn't with me, I didn't know where I had to go, who I had to see, when I had to be there. I don't even carry one nowadays, but you know what? It took the pressure and the stress off of my mind of not knowing what I had to do, when I had to do it, or recall the information that I needed. Well, my wife and I started teaching 10th grade, and after I'd gone to this workshop, I started to apply the techniques, and I tell you, it made my life so much easier in teaching. It gave me a chance to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more spontaneous, a little bit more attentive to the questions that were being asked without having to go back and formulate my outline and follow the outline and do the scriptures verbatim, or try to do it by paraphrasing it, by reading the information. We came up with something here a few years back to help students and learn how to do things, but also we came up with something for teachers in Sunday school, or teachers that want to teach Bible study or something like that. This is actually something we call the Maximum Scripture Recall. And it's a 21-day process that you can go through and learn how to have better memory for scriptures. How to recall the information. Like one of the things we do, we've taught you in some of the previous chapters we've studied on, we've talked about in some of the previous recordings, how the body files are set up. We set 10 files up on your body, your toes, your knees, your muscle, your rear, your lungs, your shoulders, your collar, your face, your point, the ceiling. Well, what we did was we tied the book of the Bible to the words and to the images and to our body files. For instance, on the first 5 books, or the books of Moses, we put those on your toes. It's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Well, we can tie it together by using the second generation of mnemonics, the chain of visualization, and chaining those together to say Leviticus, is tied together with Exodus, and Exodus is tied together with Leviticus, and we could chain it together. But now for the 5 books of Moses on your toes, we have Genesis. We use the chin of Sis. That's our picture for Genesis. For Exodus, we use axes and ducks. Axes and ducks, Exodus, okay? And for Leviticus, we use Levi's and ticks. Levi's and ticks, Leviticus. Then we use for Numbers, we used a numbered. For Deuteronomy, dude, you run on me. It's kind of silly, but you know what? It's absorbing in your brain. You admonish it, you personalize it, you embrace it, and you know what? You can store the information and recall it when you need to. So we can tie those 5 books of Moses to your toes. Now the second part, which is our knees, which is on your body files, we tied the major prophets. We can tie the books of wisdom to your muscles. You tie the major prophets to your rear, the minor prophets to your lungs. We have a way of setting up the system. That's what this Maximum Scripture Recall does for you. Now in here, we take all 66 books of the Bible in the workbook, and we tie all 66 books of the Bible, 39 books of the Old Testament, 27 books of the New Testament, and we load it, like I said, by the books of Moses, the books of wisdom, the books of history, the major prophets, the minor prophets, Jesus' early days, and then of course we have the Paul's letters, then we have the other apostle letters, then we have the Revelations. So see, you could tie all of the books of the Bible, 66 books of the Bible, to 9 files on your body. So that's the beauty of the system. That's what this workbook does. That's what this CD audio system works for you. It ties together it's a 3D CD program that ties together all of the workshop and how you can use that workshop on basic memory training to tie the maximum scriptures, your favorite scriptures, the author of the scriptures, your favorite parable, those kind of things. Also in here, we do Rick Warren's 40-Day Purpose-Driven Life on how to set that up. How to set up the Old Testament, New Testament books, but also how to do the 10 Commandments. How to do the fruits of the Spirit, Galatians 5:22. Never have to go back and recall the information by reading it out of the Bible. You can have it right here in your mental images as well as in your heart. So how to write the Bible on your heart so that you can flow it and live the life of the Bible, as well as make it something you can show and teach to others. That's what the program is good for Maximum Recall Scriptures. Now, one of the important things about learning the Bible is to tie the information together, as well as who wrote it, the author, and all of the surrounding area of why the perspective of what it was written about, and why it's such an important thing to apply to your life. So that's what we've done in the Maximum Scripture Recall system. So if you teach Sunday school, or you just want to know the Bible better, you want to learn and apply it to your life, this is one thing that will help you do that. It's probably one of the best programs I've seen and been involved with, or been exposed to in my lifetime, just because it makes it very doable. For instance, some of the things like we turn the pictures in, such as the outline for the body files, we go through and add those things and the books. But let's say like the books of Moses. The 5 books, and then of course on your knees you put the history, on your muscle you put the books of wisdom, of course then the major prophets on your rear, the minor on your lungs, then of course the early life of Jesus on your shoulder, and of course Paul's letters on your collar, other apostle letters on your face, and of course Revelations on your point. Now the beautiful thing is you can know from the first book of the Bible to Revelation and go in and out of order, or forwards and go backwards, and that's the beauty of the system. But the important thing is, like Job, we might use the picture of a robe. Or for Psalms, we might use a palm tree. For Proverbs, we might have a fur, like a fur that's a pro. Like Ecclesiastes might be cleats and tees, or cleats and golf tees. Or Song of the Songs for singing. But the important thing is, we've taken the books of the Bible, turned them to understandable, viable pictures that you can file to your body files. That's the beauty of the system. Then if you want to, you can know that Genesis is tied to Exodus, and Exodus is tied to Leviticus, and Leviticus is tied to Numbers, and Numbers is tied to Deuteronomy. Or go over and go through Romans and know that then you have 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. Then you have goes into Galatians, or to Ephesians, or then to Philippians, and then to 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians. You can tie all this information and pull it up when you want to. The beautiful thing is you're in control of the information that you load. So that's what the Maximum Scripture Recall system does for you. Now, the beautiful thing is, when I used to teach Sunday school, I'd follow my copious outline, my notes, and it'd take time away from me being able to look at what the person I was trying to teach, what they were getting, what they may be a little confused on, and how to highlight those items. But I didn't have to go back and review that outline. Because if I had to recall which book tied together with Hosea, I could do that. Or if I had to know that the book of Haggai, is tied together with we tied together with stuff like a zucchini riot for Zacharias, okay? We tied together for a mile of kite for Malachi. We tied together with Habakkuk is half a cook, 1 Samuel is 1 sand mule, 2 Samuel is 2 sand mules, 1 Kings is 1 king, 2 Kings is 2 kings, 1 Chronicles a chrome nickel, 2 Chronicles 2 chrome nickels, Samuel is a sand mule. So all those things are easier when you have a way to remember the information. That's what this system does for you. Maximum Scripture Recall. If you want to learn the Bible, know a little bit better, and apply it in your life and time, this is one way to do it. Believe me, it's more effective. Thank you. I hope you've had something you could gather out of this today. I hope you can kind of question the way that things work in terms of your mind, to build that novelty, to build that imagination, build that emotion. That's going to make you more efficient here. The important thing is to build that self-confidence. Have that information at your mental fingertips. Thank you again, here on Mangum, Memory Technology Institute. See you again another day. Hope you have a good one.